What's going on, YouTube family? It's been a long time, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. This is an update of my 150-gallon reef tank. I don't know if you guys remember, but I started this tank about a year ago. I had a smaller 65-gallon aquarium, had a nasty outbreak of bubble algae. I just used that as an opportunity to kind of start with the bigger tank, learn some lessons there. And so that's what I did. As you guys could see, the tank looks a lot different. Unfortunately, bubble algae made it back into this aquarium, and I had a very similar issue, a very nasty outbreak where it was taking over my tank. For those of you guys that are not familiar with bubble algae, it's a nuisance algae that can plague a marine or reef tank. And it did that to mine, to the point where I thought about just tearing this tank down too. But I'm like, holy cow, I invested so much. So what I decided to do is went online, researched a couple things, and there is a product called Vibrant that pretty much I got the entire bottle and I placed it in my RO, my top off container. So as my tank replenished the fresh water, it would dump this Vibrant into the system. Well, the Vibrant eliminated all of the bubble algae, guys, none. However, it also eliminated some of my colonies. So you can see my tank is looking not as full as it was before. But that's a deal for another day. My tank is bounced back at this point. This is just really an update, guys, on ATI Essentials. So as you guys know, or may or may not know, when I started this tank, because it was a larger tank, I didn't want the maintenance. I didn't want to do the water changes and all that other stuff. And ATI Essentials is a competitor to Trident, to the Trident method. And basically, just to sum it up, I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but just to sum up, Essentials is it believes that water changes are only needed to make massive corrections on things that are wrong by taking water out. But the method of diluting nutrients out of your tank, the Trident method and ATI Essentials kind of see that as kind of asinine. Like, you don't really need to do that. You just need to dose the elements that your tank is deficient in. And the way that you know that is by submitted ICP test. So, long story short, guys, this tank will be a year old in a couple of days. I have done no water changes on this tank whatsoever. Zero, zilch, none. So the same water that I started out with essentially is the same water that's present now. I have not changed out any water. The only thing that I do on a routine and regular basis is add more water to my ATO container, which is the auto top off. That's just fresh water. That's it. So what I decided to do a few weeks ago is submit an ICP test, because I figured, you know, I got this major outbreak. Some things happened in my tank. I actually lost some colonies. It was kind of weird because when it was a I guess a 2-for-1 special. I had the bubble algae. The Vibrant killed the bubble algae. It killed some of my colonies. And of course, I wasn't checking my water on a regular basis as far as my algae. That's one thing that ATI Essentials, they tell you to maintain your algae between 7 and 8. I try to shoot for around 7.4, 7.5. But anyway, my algae had went out of the roof. And the only reason why I know that is because this guy, I'll move over closer to the aquarium. So this acro right here at the top, guys, I had this guy since it was a little frag. And it's really big now. That coral is about 2 years old. Same with this purple stylo. I had that since it was like a little thumb size thing. But anyway, they started to bleach. I did not want to lose this coral because I had it for such a long time. And so I decided to take my water into a local pet shop, and they tested it, and my algae was like at 12, which of course would cause them to start bleaching. So I stopped dosing my tank. And at any rate, I don't want to make this a long video, but I got everything back on track. Sent in my ICP test to ATI after a, well, not quite a year, maybe like 11 months, maybe 10-month mark. And I want to share with you guys my result and why I'm even more so a huge fan of ATI Essentials. One quick thing that I want to tell you guys is that I started out with the non-pro version because when I bought into the system, they didn't have the pro version available. You cannot buy the non-pro version now. So I've been using the pro version. I actually just started using it maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It works essentially the exact same. The only difference is it's all in liquid form. You do not have to dilute it, although I tend to dilute mine. I like it. It's kind of like a safety net, if you will. So I want to show you guys my result. So here it is. So after 1 year, this is what ATI has come back with. And basically what they're telling me is that, so my set elements, of course the goal is to be at 100 or as high as, or as close to that as possible. What they want to do, ATI, is they want your water to match what's found in natural sea, in the ocean, excuse me. Your trace elements should match what's in the ocean. That's what their goal is. So as you can see, my set elements are for the most part pretty good. My trace elements, some opportunity there. Pollutants, I'm good. There's nothing underlying, which is awesome, right? They test for a lot of different things. I believe 43 different elements, which I believe is the most on the market as of right now. So you can see my salinity is where it's supposed to be, 35, slightly above. DKH, which is your carbonate hardness. I told you I like to try to sit at 7.4, 7.5. I was at 7.62. They're indicating 7.5, right? So it just simply goes through all of the different elements that you have in your water. If something is high, you'll see an up arrow. If something is slightly lower, you'll see a down arrow. If it's fine within range, you'll see a green checkbox. What you can see here is that my iodine is low. Okay. And let's go to recommendations. This is what I love. So they give you the recommendations based on your tank size in liters. They tell you the number of doses and the amount. So almost 1 milliliter per day, I would be dosing of iodine for 3 days. Again, you can't dose more than 1 dose of anything per day. So 3 days at 1 milliliter, or 0.96 milliliter, excuse me. Then vanadium, so 2 days at 2.16, manganese, 1 day at 2.88, fluorine, 66 mils 3 times. By dosing those things, it should technically get my tank where it should be. This is what I love. This is also what I love too about ATI. So I will show you guys. This is the set elements. So the fluorine, iodine, let me turn this guy over, iodine here, this is the manganese, and this is the vanadium. Now that was the first test. I submitted a second test, and I guess between the gaps in tests, there was a couple other items that I need to adjust. One thing that I did, I will tell you guys, your volume, your water volume is very important. So I learned kind of the hard way about the accuracy of that. So the display of this tank is roughly around 130 gallons, and I have a 43 gallon sump. I'll show you guys that in a couple minutes, a couple seconds here. I rounded down to about 150 gallons just because I have rocks and all this other stuff, but apparently it's more than that because when I submitted my second ICP test, after I made those adjustments, I was confused because I'm like, holy cow, wait a minute. My results are lower. They're worse than what they were before. Okay, what's going on? So let me go back to the recommendations. Again, it's telling me more iodine. Now I have boron in the mix, and then there's some of these other elements which I've ordered. Some of these I have. I already have manganese. I have the vanadium. I do not have the meldonium or whatever. Forgive me, I know I'm chopping this up, and then this last one. So I reached out to ATI, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused. I dosed these things to your specifications, and why am I still off? And what they told me is that the test is based on your water volume. So I put 150 gallons in liters, so it's like 568. I'm wrong. I was off. So I'm probably close to maybe 160 or something like that. I'll dose based on that. And what's cool is that when you log in, if you change your aquarium size, the number of liters, it changes the dose, which is cool. That's why they do it, and that's why they make you do it in liters. So an update, as you guys know, I know a couple of people have probably caught this already. I did upgrade my system to an Apex, and I was able to get the Trident. I've had it running on my system for about a week. I'm in love with this thing. It's amazing. It's super, 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 super cool. Huge fan now of Apex. I did not have a controller when I first set up this tank. Let me just crouch down here for a second. So as you guys can see, I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail and bore you guys with this stuff. But what's super cool is all of the main elements that you want to test for anyway. Particularly this one. If you guys are keeping SPS coral, alk is super, 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 super important. Of course, calcium is, magnesium, but I know tons of reef keepers that have SPS systems. What they test for on a regular basis is alk. They want to make sure that there's not any huge changes in this. This thing will keep you on point because, of course, if you have an Apex, I have mine to set a reminder, or not a reminder, excuse me, but an alert. If it goes above 8 or if it drops below 7. For me, this is going to be really critical in the upcoming months, just because, guys, as you know, I'm going to be adding more SPS corals to my tank to replenish the colonies that I lost when I was treating my tank for the bubble algae. As corals start to grow, they start to take a hit on this, and I'll be on top of this. As far as accuracy, I did not calibrate it. It says that it comes out of the box calibrated. It's pretty close to what I'm getting on the Salford test. And honestly, I don't care if this thing is off by a few points here or there. What I'm most concerned about is just consistency. As you guys may or may not know, in a reef tank, you just want to be consistent. So, and that's kind of how I have it. But basically, I have mine testing 4 times a day. That is the minimum. I don't like that. But now I'm starting to kind of appreciate the number of tests. So I'll look forward to logging in and taking a look at the test. But anyway, this is just an update on everything else. I actually put a little light under here just to make things easy. But this is, for the most part, guys, my system. I did upgrade my doser to the dose, which is cool. I'll probably add another one to that. This is my ATO container, of course. This is that Nios 160 skimmer. This thing is a beast. It's super quiet. This is kind of ghetto, but it's been pulling lots of nasty stuff out of this tank. Not that I have a lot of stuff in it just yet. You guys may remember that I had a H380. This is a H80, as you can see here. I had to change it out. It was burning my Kato. This is actually new Kato. It actually burned that stuff. So for a while, I hadn't had really any real algae in there other than this nasty stuff that's growing. So I think I'll probably be good to grow that Kato, and hopefully it'll help minimize this nastiness. But the Sump, I know there's a version 2 of this Sump out now. This is oh gosh, I forgot the name of this Sump. This is a Trigger Systems, I'm sorry. Crap, I don't know, I completely forgot the name. Anyway, this is the Trigger System. This is like one of their high-end sumps that is catered for the okay, I'm having a major brain fart and I can't remember what the name of that thing is. Goodness. Trident. Okay, I have to Google it, man. So anyway, this is the Trident 44 Sump. This is not the version 2. This is version 1. I see that there's a version 2. I actually looked at it. I'm not a fan of it just because it doesn't have this bracket here. And I like how water comes in here very fast and quick, and it stirs up a lot of stuff, and then it slowly comes through here, which gives the Tritus or anything else the opportunity to kind of settle, either where you can siphon it off or you can have some cleaners clean it up, or it can just land in the algae bed and just feed your algae. which is what I like here. Sumps, guys, as you know, are refugiums, which is what this is. These things are going to be dirty. This is a year of me not doing anything and just putting algae in it. So, but this is just a quick update on my tank, guys. I apologize. I'm kind of doing everything at night, so you don't really get to see all the awesome colors and that crap. Had a long day today, but I did just want to give an update. A couple of people inboxed me asking for updates. So here it is. And just one last thing I want to show you. This is really tight. Is these are the containers that I'm using for my ATI Essentials. As you can see, this is labeled Essentials 2, and then the other one is Essentials 1, so this is definitely the Pro. These are 5 liters. I'm dosing right now 18 mils per day of this stuff, and this is diluted, just keep that in mind, and it's able to maintain my alk at around the 7.46 according to the Trident. Anyway, so as you know, as I add more coral, I'm going to have to start dosing more. At my tank's peak, when I had all the other corals, I was dosing around 7 milliliters per day. That just gives you an idea. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.